Hey guys, so how to make more money with less leads as a self-employed bookkeeper looking for help. So sometimes what happens is maybe you've been watching like videos like these and maybe you don't have a huge pipeline of leads, but you still want to be able to get started in your business. You still want to be able to start making some money. So today I'm going to talk about like how to make it a lot easier for you to make more money without needing a million like leads. So oftentimes one thing I see is that there's a lot of people online that are like, we'll help you go get 1 million leads and like hundreds of clients. It's just like, that sounds kind of cool, but upon practice and theory, it's very, very hard to kind of do that, right? Because even if a client, one client versus like 50 clients, right? You can have one client that pays you $3,000 a month, or you can have like 10 clients that pay you like $300 a month, right? And one thing most people don't really understand is that when you get a bunch of like really small clients, you still have the relationship you have to like maintain. So even though it might not be as much work on an individual client level, you still have to balance different relationships. So just because someone's paying you a small amount of money does not mean that they're going to like think logically when there's a problem or there's an issue or they have a question. So for example, let's say that you have a client that's paying you $3,000 a month, okay? It's only one client. They might have like one problem or one concern. You only have to like look and keep your eyes open for that one conversation sequence, that one message. But then if you have like 10 clients, you have 10 people you're kind of like being aware of. You have to look at, you have to think about, you have to talk to, you get a check-in. And out of those 10, there's a high probability that like 10 to 20% of those clients are going to be very, very high maintenance. Now, even though it might not be a huge amount, it could still be some. For example, one of my first clients, I was charging him about $500 a month. This dude was crazy. So he would be calling me at random times of the day, be like, hey, can you come in? I have a question. What do you mean, hey, can I come in? You have a question. Can we just talk on the phone? No, I want to see you. I want to see you. And like the guys only paid me like $500 a month, right? And at that time, I didn't really know how to like have a good client relationship. I didn't really know how to like hold boundaries, how to set up like communication lines to make sure that people didn't do that. But it's like when you're starting out, you're always going to get, in a lot of cases, like the lower the amount of money, the more needed the client's going to be. Another way to think about it too is think about who's the person that pays you $150 versus who's the person that's going to pay you like $3,000, $4,000 a month. The person that can only afford to pay $150, there's someone that's just getting started in the business. That means they have a lot of insecurity in their business. Like they don't know if they're going to be open 2 years from now. They might get like a client, let's say they're a consultant. They might get a client and they lose a client. Now they're all panicky, right? They probably have not developed a lot of like emotional kind of regulation or emotional maturity and being able to handle when things go up in their business, when things explode in the business, when they have like a lot of problems and concerns. So you're actually absorbing a lot of that like anger, frustration, just turbulence that happens versus a client that's going to pay you $3,000, right? They're generally going to be more still, more focused, more relaxed. You're not going to have as much like outbursts. You're not going to have as much turbulence. They're a little bit more even keel and steady. So they are a little bit easier to actually like manage on that level. So also, maybe you've been trying to go and get clients, you just don't know exactly what you don't know, and maybe you've been trying, but it's just not quite working the way it is, or you've been thinking about it, but you just haven't gotten started with it yet because you just don't know what you don't know. Go ahead and click on the link inside the description above or below the video to book a call with myself to see if I can help you inside of our paid mentorship program. Now let's jump into the full video. So number one, how to make more money with less leads as a self-employed bookkeeper. Number one, get good at sales. So one thing that I'm actually doing is inside this YouTube channel, I think I'm going to make a course, like a much detailed, like a really, really detailed course on like sales and marketing. And I'm going to make it free. Now, I'm going to have the focus be on sales because as we kind of believe in my organization, the better you get at sales, the less leads you need, and it's easier to actually go and grow your business, okay? The worse you are at sales, the more you have to be good at marketing. And marketing just takes a lot of time in a lot of cases. Most people just don't have that time when they're first starting the business. So if you learn how to do sales, then, I'm going to show you basically inside of that course. If you want me to actually give you access to that course, or if you even want me to make it, like if it's something that, our followers and subscribers, like if you just don't want me to make it, like let me know that too, and I won't make that. But if you do want that, you think it could be helpful for you, go ahead and comment sales down inside the comments below. And then when I actually go and make that for free, I'm going to put inside like the YouTube description, and you guys can kind of go through that. Because I know that in some cases, some people just want to like learn a bit more before they like do the program. That's okay, but it just really depends. So getting good at sales, right? There's really 3 to 4 main parts of sales. It's number one, it's like the discovery. right? That's when you're asking like the detailed questions. Number 2 is going to be your presentation. Number 3 is going to be your closing and objection handling. Number 4 is going to be your onboarding process, okay? And I want to cover all 4 of these things. I'm not going to go into super great detail today, but number 1, your discovery process needs to be very good to create a relationship and a long-lasting bond. Sometimes what happens is if you don't ask really good questions at the end of your consultation calls, you get a bunch of just weird objections that are actually more smokescreen in nature than like actual like obstacles or things you can overcome. So it's they say stuff like, oh, I just don't know. I don't know what the value is. I don't know if I need this, right? Those are not necessarily objections that you can overcome very easily. Those are objections you have to come over like in the beginning of the call, and you do that by getting them to trust you, because as the more they trust you, the better quality answers they're going to give you, which allow you to be able to actually like get to the heart of the person, and it just makes everything way easier if you learn how to do that correctly. And again, like we have different videos on this channel that kind of break down different types of scripts, how to do calls, etc., and like how to ask good questions. The next thing is going to be a presentation. So your presentation, this is actually the easiest section inside of your sales consultation call. The reason why is because if you ask great questions, the person's already told you like what parts of your presentation to emphasize. Like, do they want you to emphasize that you're going to clean them up? Do they want you to emphasize that you're going to be able to just keep it ongoing so their CPA can just come at tax time and everything's really smooth? Do they want you to actually be able to be an advisor within their company in the stuff that you're finding, utilize that to help them make business decisions, and then be able to really like bounce ideas off you about like what they should do, what's normal, what are the different things they should do to like inside to grow their business from a financial perspective, right? That's going to really help you. And then when you know how to like really focus on those parts, you know how to like describe what you're going to do, how you're going to do it in a very easy to understand, streamlined manner. I like doing mine in like 3 steps. So I like doing like step 1, step 2, step 3. Not just easier for me, because what that does is it gives them more of like a view path of what it's actually going to look like. What I used to do when I first got started was I would just start spewing a bunch of like random facts about accounting and bookkeeping, and just like, okay, we're going to do this, 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 right? And what that led to was them always saying things like, I need to think about it. And the reason why was because they weren't necessarily saying they need to think about it because they didn't want to go. It's just I gave them so much information, their mind was kind of like spinning, and it caused them to actually have to go think about what I talked about and put in a linear plan. So when I started putting it into a linear plan, what we're going to do, and keep it very base level, their mind stays clear, and they know, okay, so this guy's done it a number of times. He knows what he's doing. I can just trust that he knows what he's doing, and we can just like move along. And it makes things a lot easier step by step. And once you start getting good at sales, again, it does make it easier for you to grow. For example, one of my students, his name is Celeste. Now, me and him spent a really good amount of time working on sales, probably more than I've worked with any other student when it comes to sales. Now, the reason why it's so important is because he can actually go into channels like Upwork or Bark, which I usually do not recommend Upwork. I do not recommend Bark unless you're very advanced at sales, because if you don't know how to do that, generally on those platforms, those clients are looking for like bottom of the barrel, right? They're trying to get like the lowest price in a lot of cases. Now, Celeste, he's very good at changing the way they believe and the way they think about pricing and like actually doing the service. So he gets people that might want to come in paying like $750 a month, and he gets them to pay him like $2,000 a month, because he's very skilled at getting them to want to work with them and want to understand like how he can help them out, right? So he's able to actually go do that, and he grew his business a lot faster than the average person, because he didn't need a lot of like really high volume of leads. He just knew, okay, if I get these people on the phone, I'm closing 80%, right? Now, what would your business look like if you could close 80% of the leads that came to you, right? Most people can't do that. Most people, like when they're starting out, they close like 1 out of 10. And that's not to say like, this business is hard. It's just if you don't have the skill set, you should develop the skill set in order to make the business easy. It's a very simple business model. Like we're not going and trying to build like Walmart, right? Where you have to go buy like these $1 million buildings. You have to buy so much inventory. You have to have this much staff before you even get started. It's not like that, okay? It's much simpler of a process. It's really more of a relationship kind of building game and understanding people game. Now, if you don't understand people, you have to learn. It's just, some people say, I just want to do the accounting. Okay, well, you're probably going to stay in your job. And there's nothing wrong with staying in your job, but if you say that you want to start a business, there's something that's like required. All it is just learning a slightly different skill set. And I'm not saying you have to become like a salesperson. I'm just saying you got to understand people and understand how to like follow a sales script, how to utilize a sales script, how to like ask the right questions, how to overcome objections, and just make it very simple for yourself. The second thing you need to do in order to make more money with less leads is understand CRM management as well as sales cycles. So CRM just basically stands for Customer Relationship Manager. It's basically like a tool where you can keep all of the information about your potential clients. So when did they first opt into your funnels? When was the last time you messaged them? What are all your different like platforms you message them on? Are you messaging them on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or your phone contacts or email? And it can also store all your communication before the person starts working with you. You can also keep notes. The reason why it's important, I know this might be going way too deep in the weeds for someone who's just getting started, is because you want to make sure you understand exactly how long does it take from someone to first know you exist to actually paying you money, right? Because if you know that, it comes with a lot of certainty. Certainty is the thing that allows you to be able to grow your business faster, right? Because what happens is most people, they start their business, but they don't really know if what they're doing is the right thing. So it causes them to rather than going through the target and moving as fast as possible, they're always kind of going with like their foot partially on the brake because they don't really know if at any time they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. Instead, once you start getting more certainty, you understand, okay, so if I talk to a person on Monday, it's only going to take till Friday before they're actually like ready to pay me, because maybe we talk on Monday, we schedule a call on Tuesday, they like actually use my calendar link, they schedule a call for like Thursday, okay? They're going to get on the phone on Thursday, then once they're on the phone on Thursday, I have to go send them the contract. I know that it takes them about 7 hours between when they read the contract to when they sign the contract. When they sign the contract, hey, they're going to give me the money then, right? If you know that without a shadow of a doubt, you have confidence. So all you need to do is just worry about getting the leads, right? But if you have that process in place, it makes everything a lot easier, right? And this is also called a sales cycle. So your CRM holds the data, and your sales cycle is the thing that allows you to have that confidence, because you know like what is the time frame with which it takes for someone to actually sign up with you on average. Then you can do a bunch of different things, right? You can either work to like speed those sales cycles up, or you can even go and set up the sales cycles in like specific times of the year. So you know that, like, let's say that you want to have like we'll say 3 clients per quarter. Okay, cool. So if let's say it's January 1st, you know how long will it take for you to actually get this person to sign up. Okay, so end of March, then the person comes on, right? So you have 3 clients. And then same thing, okay, so you start your process in June, and then by the end of that quarter, okay, it comes. And then it just keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming, it keeps coming. Okay, so let's say that you want to go like on October, right? And you know you want to have clients right before the new year. It's just all about predictability. So for example, one of our students, like Audrey, so she knows exactly when to turn on her automation machine, and every time she does, she grows her business. The reason why is because every single time that she's gotten a client in the past, I made her go and mark it on a calendar as well as keep inside of like our lead spreadsheets. So she knows, okay, last year I turned on my automation machine on this day. I got this many consultation calls booked. Now this many consultation calls, 30 booked in the first week, 40% booked in the second week, and then like 10% more booked within like the next like 2 months. So she was closing between like 50 to 60% of the leads that came to her. Now, that's confidence. When you have that level of confidence, when you have the level of skill to know that, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to get this many clients at this date, like that's really what most people are kind of like looking for when they're trying to like get good at marketing. But it's really, if you just get good at sales, you're going to be able to just like knock it out of the park. Now, the third thing you need to understand when it comes to making more money with less leads is understanding follow-up. So follow-up is like, let's say that there are really 3 types of people that you're going to get in your consultation calls. Number 1 is going to be someone that says yes, but then ghosts. Number 2 is going to be someone that says no and gives you a really solid reason. The third one is someone that's going to give you maybe like a smoke screen, like I need to think about it, or I don't know, or let me go talk to my dog, let me go talk to my spouse, talk to my wife, talk to my board of directors, right? So you need to be able to go and actually approach all 3. So in contrary to popular belief, the no is not actually a bad person. The no makes actually things a lot easier because you know where you stand. The one that's the hardest to actually like really overcome is the person that says they need to think about it, or they have to go convert with like their talk with their wife, their spouse, their dog, whatever. The yes is easy because then it's just a matter of just following up, right? I can tell you the time frames in a couple minutes. But the second one is the purpose to say no, because then you at least know you have an uphill battle to go and actually convert them into a client. And then you can then choose, do you actually want to go and put in the work to go get them as a client, or do you just kind of want to move on to the next prospect? It does make everything a lot simpler. So when it comes to a yes, what I like to do is when you're doing your consultation calls, make sure that you are giving them a very set onboarding call date, a date where you need to be able to get the onboarding materials to and get the information that you require from them. The reason why it's important is because now they have like a time frame. If something goes outside of that time frame, I kind of know that something's up, and it's my cue to check in with them. Now, that's a pro tip. A lot of people, what happens is like they will do their consultation call. The person says yes, like, okay, cool, I'll send you the invoice. You can like pay it. But they don't really tell exactly when they want the person to pay it. They don't have any process yet, and the person just kind of like just fizzle off. Just fizzles off. And it's just like they really want to do it. They just didn't know they had to, like, there was a time frame, that there was a deadline. So give people a deadline. The next people are the people that are no. I like anyone that's a no. I like seeing like what is the cause. They just don't have the cash flow. Is it that they just don't see the value? Is it that they don't really want to move right away? Is it that they have like they don't have like the decision making power to be able to actually go and make this decision themselves, right? Because that's going to give me a slightly different path depending on which of those 4 objections it's going to be. If it's cash flow, then when on your call you can actually go and set up like established time frames. Like when should you check back in? Like when are they expecting to have more cash flow? And that's going to be a very clear path, because okay, so let's say that you're charging $5,000 for a cleanup, right? Okay, well, I don't have $5,000 right now. Okay, well, when do you feel that you will be able to like you really either get a business loan, get funding, get capital, get sales, whatever, to actually go and be able to afford this cleanup? Okay, so let's say it's January. They're gonna say, okay, I'm gonna go on March 3rd. Okay, you have a clear date on March 3rd is when you should automatically have a follow-up on March 3rd. Like, put on your calendar. But along the way, you could even be giving them like tips, guides, and resources, and even just checking in with them probably every 2 weeks until that March 3rd deadline hits, right? So that way it's just not just like you just show back up and says, hey, do you have my money now? Right? You can do that, and it is very acceptable. But if you want to really seal that deal, then really having that that cadence every 2 weeks is very, very helpful. If it's more of like they just don't see the value, okay, that's an education funnel. That's an education follow-up process. That's more about like texting, sending guides, checking in, make sure they understand their problems. And again, I like doing 2-week cycles. I like doing following up every like 15 days. And again, depending on what they said on the call is going to give you a slightly different message script that you're going to say inside of the follow-up. But the principle is still the same, 15 days. The next thing is going to be, let's say that maybe they just weren't interested. Okay, cool. Well, in that case, I'm going to follow up with them like probably once a month, and I'm going to see if things have kind of changed their life. Because if they're not interested, that's a kind of weird objection, because in a lot of cases, if they've booked the time out of their calendar and they're successful, they have an interest. They just might not be interested in you, and there might be a hidden thing. So for example, we had a student who joined our mentorship program, and he had been following us for like a year, right? And I had one of my someone I'm no longer working with kind of did a call with them to talk about like the different programs and stuff we have, and the guy ended up not buying. So when I reached out to him, I think like 6 months later, I was like, hey man, what's up? Like, why are we not working together? You sounded like you're pretty enthusiastic about doing this stuff. And at first he's like, oh, just kind of thinking, just kind of waiting. But what actually happened was, the only reason I know is because I just started following up with him, just started talking to him, just as a friend. And he goes, yeah, man, I just didn't really like the way that guy communicated. It just didn't really make sense to me at the moment in time. I just didn't really like that experience. So that guy's no longer with us. But the point of that is, by following up, I got to understand why he was a no. We converted him into a yes. And he's doing some pretty good results right now. But it all starts with that follow-up process to be able to say like, okay, so if someone has taken time out of their life and out of their day to go and book a call, to go and like talk about anything that you're like offering, promoting, whatever, that means there is some level of interest. It's just more, can you maintain that level of interest throughout your presentation, throughout the call, and throughout even